Hi there, it's Dr. Ginger Bratzel with you, and we're talking about 2024 things that you need to be doing now before the year ends to make sure next year is your success. And so I'm going to give you, I hope you're taking a lot of notes and paying attention. I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide because this guide is going to be a framework to help you lead into next year. If you say, well, I don't set my goals, we can do it as a team, as the office, we wait until January to do it. You've got to do this as the owner, as the leader of the practice before you go into that session because this is your practice, your responsibility. And you did not go into business as a team sport. You went into business to be to support your family, your lifestyle, your dreams. And so you need to have those things clear because what happens if you don't have that clarity going in, everyone else's direction takes over or life will take over. Chaos will ensue, and before you know it, you're deep into it. So that's why I want you to do it now. I'm going to spend a few moments on this exercise, going through and giving the steps and give you some tips along the way and like things you need to do to get prepared for this. But this process, what I did by myself, I started on Thanksgiving afternoon. I booked off time. You can do it at any time, but I did this on Thanksgiving afternoon. You know, I made dinner. We had all our family fun. We'd had Monday through Thursday afternoon together. Everyone's starting to get a little nippy on each other. I was not going Black Friday shopping, so I left and went to a hotel in my same town. And guess what? They were all empty. And I was there until Saturday doing this because I wanted to get very detailed. So the bigger your team is, the more time you need to be prepared to go in for it. And the more the level of your practice, if you've got $1 million practice or more, you need to give it $1 million worth of effort. This is not something to be rushed or done in an hour or let someone else take care of it. So, here's the process. We start with first setting some intentions, and these are your intentions. What do you want out of your life and your practice? What's the balance? What are what I call your non-negotiables? What are you not going to compromise on? Like, I will not do this no matter what. Well, that needs to be clear in your goals, in your intention, because if your goals do not support that, then you need to reevaluate how you get there, or is this a valid goal? And so, everything sounds good in the moment, but if you go back to your core values of what's important to you, like my family, I will not compromise family time for this. I will never work evenings on Tuesday because that's when my kids have all their activities. Those kind of things have to be non-negotiables and written down there, not later. So if those are all clear at the beginning, all the other crap just kind of filters out from the self. So you write down your intentions. What positives do you want? I know the non-negotiables are great, but what positives do you want? Do you want to go through, it might be, I want the same year I had this year, but more of it. Okay, so that's a non-negotiable. I want the same. I will not compromise. I do not want to be stressed out to get there. I don't want to spread myself thin. I need to have the ability to say no to things that do not support my intentions and my goals and giving myself permission. Sometimes you have to write that down. Sometimes someone has to tell you you have permission to do that. It's like, well, everyone else in my area is doing this, and I don't know. Does it support your goal? If it's not a heck yeah, it's a hell no. So make sure you have that requested and documented. I have to set boundaries. I will do this at certain times. I will not see a patient at 2 o'clock in the morning, as funny as that is, but some people start building their boundaries for the team members. Like, I want my team there on time, but then they have somebody who starts coming in late. Is that within your boundaries? So I will not have someone on my team who does not value my patient care and is not all in for my team. That is a boundary. These are just examples for you guys. My physical activity is more important to me than ever after this year. I've had some injuries. I've had some health issues, and I will not compromise that health time for my business. That comes first. If I'm not healthy, I can't support the business, and that's what I found out this year. I was out of commission for a while, and I want to do that. So that builds your baseline of what you want for next year because you know what parameters are in there. And this whole experience is to find the gaps between your business and where you are and how to fill those gaps. If you want a certain number of income, or you want to go out, be able to take 2 weeks off, or you want to take 4 weeks off of vacation, what do you need to do? First, you got to identify, I want that 4 weeks off. I'm going to take a vacation once a week, once a quarter with my family. Well, then what are you going to have to do in the practice to do that? What are you willing to give to get that? So you can fill your formulas. So this was like a personal retreat, just me. I'm going to tell you what you should, and this is dedicated time. You do not do it with a team, because this is for you. I didn't do it with my spouse, although when I got done, I came back and talked to my husband about it, but I had to get clear because it was my business and I had to get clear what I wanted. But I took, the profit and loss for the business, but I also took where our income comes through in percentage. What brought me the best income, the easiest, and the less stress. So I don't care how great something effective it is. If it brings in income and it makes my life miserable, it has to go. It's got to hit those criteria. So I broke it down. For your practice, you should go through, pull it out, production, and your dental software do this. Production, percentage of dollar amount, and percentage by procedure, or also by group of procedures. So like you can do preventative, how much did it bring in for your income? And then you can go through restorative. But I want to say, did my implants bring in more, or did a single unit crown as far as income generated? And I'm looking at those specifically. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it. There's always a shocker in there. I'll tell you, I know how important a preventative practice was to me. My husband's a hygienist. It was a high thing, but I didn't realize how much he did. I did realize, but I mean, it was really cemented it. Income he generated towards the practice. And some people think hygiene is a lost leader. I never believed that, but I had it in the numbers. So I was like, what can we do to make that more effective? Do I need another hygienist? Because we're going to make that even part-time. That tells me where those gaps are and going through. Money in your practice, your income is a means to an end, to a lifestyle. You're not making money for the sake of money. Money's not good. Money's not evil. I've told you that before. It's a means to the end. So you've got to be really care about that. For my life, I wanted to be an example for my children, especially for my daughter, that we are a 2-income family, but I could be a single income family. Not that I'm leaving my husband, but that she could support herself. And for my son too, that he could support himself individually and have the lifestyle he wants. Looking at passive income. Now, it might be investments outside of the practice, but also other providers that passively bring income to your practice. I looked at that income and I broke it down. I also looked at our family expenses. I went through and there were some things that were wonky, things that I did not know. And we got to set those right, because money goes farther when we're not wasting money on stuff that we didn't need to waste it on. So that helped me in clarifying what we needed to do in our practice, in my business. I also went through and did what I call a dream budget. This is a tool one of my mentors taught me, a dream budget. What would I like to do next year? So I wrote down those things, and then I put a dollar figure to them, because I can look up what that vacation would cost tentatively. If I want to take a trip to Africa next year, then I know what that roundabout needs to be. So where am I going to generate that income? Because that's on my goal. I'm going to prioritize that. But how is my goals going to support that dream in making it go forward? So, my mentor, when she taught me this, she was like, you got to prioritize the joy. You don't go through practice and see what shakes out at the end. You prioritize what you want to happen first and do all you can to make it happen. Your practice is there to support you. Your practice, write that down, is there to support you. It's not a byproduct of having a dental degree and let's see what shakes out at the end of the year. And so I wanted to work on more time for me too. I dedicated time. I always say that, but I had to do it. And so I sat down, that first thing on the why, I went through on the family calendar and wrote down all the school holidays, if you got kids in school. When I wanted to take a holiday in advance, I put it on the books. I'd like to take a fall holiday, and we always take a summer holiday. I would take off 3 weeks in the summer from my business to work on my business without doing client work. So what am I going to do to support my clients during that time, and how I'm going to preempt that and get ready to do that? I'm not going to leave them stranded, but if I want to work on myself and my practice and getting it, my business to the next level, I'm going to do that. So these are just some ideas. Okay, maybe you can't take 3 weeks off from your practice, probably can't. But if you want to take that vacation once a quarter, like a lot of practitioners do, if you want to be on every school holiday and be able to have a plan with your kids, or if you're not going to take a school holiday, how are you going to get that time back? That's your why. That goes on the calendar first. So you know your numbers ahead of time. You know your schedule. You know how many days. If you're going to do any training, continuing edge, or if there's any investments you want to do, you write that down there. You say, this is the year I want to work with a coach one-on-one. This is where I want to work with someone helping me get more of my ideal patients. That's what I really, really want you to look for. So the why is first. Number 2, after you get that, is the what. What did you do this past year? So I go through and I look at what I produced and said, these are my money makers. If I want that lifestyle, what do I need to produce in 2024? That helps me figure out the gap. Do you understand that? If I know what I did with this amount of effort in 2023, but I need to get to this point in 2024, it might not be more money, but it might be more time off. I've got to figure out how to supplement that income, and I reverse engineer that. I also spend time on my what. I go back in 2024 and see what I've accomplished. You need that fuel, is what it's called. Go positive fuel to move you forward. Because when you look at overwhelm, we know everything we did wrong in our lives. We don't celebrate what we did. And sometimes it's so small, it just escapes us. So I take inventory of what I did great. And it doesn't all have to be dealt to the business. What did I do great as a mom? What did I do great as a community leader? What did I do great as a member of my spiritual community? What did I do great as a spouse and a supporter to my husband? Those are all part of the things that push you forward. Because again, we're not here just to have a job and make money. We're there to support those people in our lives. We're there to make those kind of growths in our life. We're there to make those positive things. And so then when I look at that, it gives me the energy so I can sit down and reverse engineer. If I want to be here in 2024 and do these things in 2024 that I've identified that are important to me, I'm going to reverse and figure out how to do it. Do I need to bring in more passive income? How can I leverage myself? Because I can't get any more time. How am I going to leverage myself? For your practice, is there procedures that you're doing now that are wasting your time and energy and you're not getting very much money? Are you going to stop doing those? Are you going to delegate those to another provider in the practice? Or are you going to refer out for those so you can concentrate on the things that make you happy and make you money? Okay? It needs to be easy, lucrative, and fun. That's Joe Polish. Easy, lucrative, and fun. Ginger says self. Systemize easy, lucrative, and fun. But what are you going to be focusing on making it out? And I map that out in my calendar. So if we're going to do promotions, it's like for an Invisalign promotion and do an Invisalign day, I have to have that in the map on my calendar, mapped out. Then also I have to have promotion leading up to it. I can't just say, oops, it's tomorrow, let's just do it. You have to promote. That's what most practices get in trouble with. You don't mark it up to the time to have those promotions. You've got to give people that leeway. You've got to be planting the seed in people in your practice. You can pull in charts people that you've talked about a procedure before. Let them know this is coming up in the future. We really like to invite you to come in and talk about that. I would talk about restorative things as far as implant nights I would do. And bring them in and what's in it for them to come in. So once I have what's important to me, the why, what I need to do, now this is what everyone jumps the gun on, is the how. The how comes very easily when those other two things are identified. How are we going to do it? So like I just told you, that Invisalign thing we're going to do. Well, how are we going to do it? Okay, we're going to sit down and Susie's going to be in charge of that. And 2 months before, she's going to map out what we're going to do. We're going to be talking about it in social media. We're going to have banners up in the office. We might run some radio time, ad time in our area. how much we can spend on it. All those things are outlined now because that makes it easier to do. We've got it marked on the calendar and we're going to talk about the how. I'm looking at the gap. It's like, well, we can't get all that done because we don't have someone in that role. Well, is it because we need to move someone, train someone, hire someone? That's how I know my gaps in it. I can be looking for that person now. This is also where I talk about job descriptions. We look at it and say, you know what, we need to do some shuffling around. We're too heavy in this one area and we're light here, so I'd like to move it around. But before I do that, I got to have a job description. And as the owner, what do I see the vision of this person accomplishing for me? How is this person going to make my life easier? This is a writer-downer, guys, and I tell everybody, I do not pay people to make my life more difficult. If I'm writing a check to an employee that makes my life miserable, or I'm thinking about them at home when they're waking me up in the middle of the night, I do not write checks to people that make me miserable. I do not do business with vendors who make my life difficult. I don't join associations or activities that make my life difficult. I don't associate with people that make my life difficult. I don't pay money for people to do that. So is it time to get some new people? Is it time to have conversations, or is it they need to be trained? But I don't let people waste my time, and I don't pay them to do that. That's a hard non-negotiable for me. And I tell that all the time when someone comes to me and say, well, Susie's doing this. What do I need to do with it? I was like, is it Susie's fault or is it your fault? And we're going to examine it because 90% of the time it's a half and half. And we need to make that decision. Are you going to invest in Susie, get her trained so she knows what's going on? Are you going to be accountable as a leader? You can't complain about her, and you're not going to follow up with her, and you're not going to have a job evaluations and descriptions. Then then you need to shut up because you let this happen, or you're gonna buckle up and come to the table and make that happen. So that's what I sit down and look at it. For me, and then I look at it personally too. What am I going to do? What's the how? How am I going to take care of my body in more personal time? Again, I will have non-negotiable time where I work out. I will never miss a doctor's appointment. I will never miss a physical therapy. I will not miss a massage appointment. I've got to take care of my body. I just don't bounce back like I used to. I stumble. I don't bumble making that forward. And with that how list, this is where you get detailed. And if you go in there to your meeting with your team, you will follow the same protocol to a certain degree. Why this is important to your office, what you've done. You're going to talk about that with them. And then the how, that's what you do in the staging. We don't want to sit, what do you think about the practice? What would be a good goal for it? You've got to set the direction. And once they know where you're going, they will support you. But you encourage them in their personal life to do that too. And if working at your office doesn't play to their personal life, then there's going to be a disconnect. They're not going to be a great employee for you. They're not going to be a contributing staff member, a team member to the rest of the people. And so that gives them permission to get off the bus too. Sometimes I love it when I'll take it back. I love it, always love it when someone decides to jump off the bus for me and say, hey, I'm not in the long run. When I'm ready to make a big change and someone bows out at the beginning and said, you know what, I don't think I'm up to this. It's like, hallelujah, because I don't want to drag you through. I don't want to be there convincing you along the way. It's about making this work towards your thing. So, these are my steps. Dedicate time, no cell phone, turn off your email. I do it all on paper too. So I print out all the reports, like the office production, your P&Ls, my family, expenses for the year. I take all of that on paper, not a computer. So I'm not tempted to log on. People can't text me, can't do it. My family knew where I was. I was less than 10 minutes away, but they didn't disturb me. They knew it was important. And when I came back, me and my husband sat down and I said, I need to talk to you about some things. And we sat down and he's like, yeah, I didn't realize that. Or yeah, that'd be great. And I asked him, for his part on, how does this practice, how does my business affect you and your lifestyle? Are you compromising things? What do you want us out of our marriage? We had those discussions. So these are important talks, and you have that structure now to have the discussions, but you have to have the discussion with yourself first. And that's the hardest person to talk to because it's so easy to get distracted and it's so easy to get overwhelmed. And by doing this, I find I had a better discussion. So I had these huge whiteboard, the Post-it notes Full sheets of those, post on the wall of the hotel. If they had pictures up, I was covering them up. So I had them on the desk and I'd write them all out. And then I've got, my why page, and I ripped it off and I put it up there because no matter when I worked on the what and the how, I had to keep going back to my why. And I detailed it all. And then when I got all done, I went through and I made a list, a digital list. This is my non-negotiables. This is what I want to accomplish. This is under my who. This is under my how. This is under my why. And so I have that in a digital copy, but I still have that. I'm cheating. It's on the board. I just looked over it, and I actually have, I'll let you hear that, my central what when I got started and my why. So this is your script. This is your formula to make 2024 what you want. This is how to not get overwhelmed because you have that clarity. You have that focus. And if goals need to be changed, they don't get changed. I'm telling you, these are non-negotiables, but the method can change as you go along. If you say, hey, we're not meeting our financial goals by doing this, what do we need to do different? It makes it very easy. You can pivot easier without feeling overwhelmed. So go back, listen to this several times, take notes, use this as your script every year. And I would tell you to book this time right now in November of 2024 to do it for 2025. Take that time for yourself. So I appreciate you. I am so excited what you're going to do this year. I hope we get to work together and you're part of our world and we help you make these dreams come true. If you need help mapping this out, that's some of the things we do for our private clients to start and get that narrative written out and then help you be accountable, help you fill the gaps, and help you fill the hows and the whys and the whats to get you where you want to be. So I appreciate you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's going to be fantastic, and I look forward to working with you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.